Historical Commission. It is May 16th, and we're starting at 3:10 p.m. in the afternoon in room 227. And present are
And you are subject to
to
being recorded.
and
Everybody.
videoed even, I
Yeah,
guess.
recorded video.
Yeah. So Ellie Bergen
Here?
and Larry Ager,
Here,
Janet Woodward,
Here.
June Miller here, and we expect to have Lucy Ayers soon, who's retrieving something for us.
She forgot something she needed to bring, so.
Okay, well, we can start off with the minutes that I wrote for our last regular meeting, which was April 11. So I did send them out twice, actually. The second time I had added one or two things. So I need to know whether you have any additions to the minutes.
Aye.
the selectmen meet in here, they got a new fancy clock. They wouldn't have got it if the selectmen didn't meet in here.
I like the font for the numbers. So, are there any comments about the April 11 minutes?
No. I don't think so.
Barry, do you have any?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the April 11 minutes?
I move to approve.
And a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimously approved. If Lucy actually has minutes for previous meetings, perhaps we can go over those. She didn't send them to us, so
well, if she has some, we'll deal with them when she
okay,
comes.
all right. The next thing on the agenda is the successful passing of the clothing preservation article.
I saw that you had sent a note to, what's her name?
Lynn Bassett.
Lynn.
Yeah.
There we go.
The CPAC did request a contract, and Mary Porter has said she will help me with that. And I have written to Mary with details and attached Lynn's resume and also our CPA proposal so that she has some basic information. So hopefully, hi Lucy, hopefully that won't take too long.
It can't start until the 1st of July anyway, right?
That's right.
Because the funding
That's
doesn't
right, and
kick
we
in
do
till then.
have, you know, we would use Memorial Hall, and we can still use Memorial Hall, but it's a little problematic because of the Apple TV project that's there.
What is that series that they're doing?
Well, it's a television show. But that's over August 1, so
Yeah, it's just 1 month that we have.
it's just a month of it. And we can go to the Bullet House if we really need to do something before that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I would need to see what her time constraints are. She
Yeah.
may need to start in July, I don't know. Probably not, because she's quite busy.
Yeah.
And CPAC has left us an agreement to sign. And probably Ellie knows what the substance of the agreement, but
I think
it's
it's basically that we
reporting.
keep them informed
Yeah.
on the progress of the project.
right.
And if the funding doesn't get spent in a certain amount of time, that we need to
Justify that.
justify it, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically like what we've been doing with the Bullet House.
Yeah, that's right. So, there's nothing that we don't know that we have to, that we're agreeing to, but I can give you this if you want to look at it. It's mostly about the money. I have, when we have an invoice at the end of each month from Lynn Bassett, I need to have, it goes
To Maureen.
It goes to it goes to Maureen, and Kristen approves it, and then it can go to the accountant. I can't give it directly to the accountant.
Does the commission need to approve it for payment?
Yes, yep.
Okay,
We'll just,
We need to approve it before we give it to
that's right.
Maureen.
Yeah, we just vote to pay whatever, it's a daily rate that she has. And I guess the invoice at the end of the month would be times
How many
450.
hours,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Days times 450. And I'm assuming that we buy the supplies that she wants to have, but if not, maybe that would be added on too.
yeah, I would think we would mostly do that, yes.
Yeah. So that's really the hard part, is just doing the money correctly.
So when, sorry, I didn't realize that you were gonna start the meeting without me. I was gonna come back. When is she gonna start?
I don't know.
Okay.
The funding doesn't kick in until July 1st,
Oh,
anyway.
so
We have to
that's
have a
good.
contract in place, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
getting Mary Porter to help me with that. So that has to be approved too by you guys, yeah, yeah. So it'll take a little bit, hopefully the contract won't take too long.
Yeah. We said it would just need to be a simple one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, she needs to be she has to be paid at the end of each month, which is easy, because we do meet once a month,
Mhm.
and our expectations, actually Barry, yes, I did send this to you.
Email?
Yep. So what I told Mary Porter, I copied you.
Yeah,
So if you would
I
read
saw
that,
that.
and if there's something else
okay.
for expectations, you should let me know.
I'll read that for,
Or send
I'll
it-
read that again. I did look at it, but I'll read it again
Okay.
with that in my mind.
Okay, because I can tell you the objectives that I wrote, because we have to have some kind of explanation of what we expect from her. To examine the selected items to determine their significance. Recommendations for offloading items that are not significant to the town. And informing commission volunteers in best preservation practices during the assessment. And then implementing appropriate storage for, our significant items, clothing and accessories, with description or with an enhanced description that we already have, because we do have some pretty good descriptions.
We've got some very good ones, but there's some things that we don't have that kind of material for, and I would want her to put a critical eye on them.
Right. So if you can think of anything, you don't have to think of it now, but if you think of something that I've missed, that's important for her to address, then let me know.
I don't think I saw that.
No, you didn't, because I only sent it to Mary Porter and I copied Barry.
Okay.
But I can send you the
Yeah.
whole thing if you want. It just really has to do with how to write the contract.
Yeah.
But Mary needed to know what the tasks were,
Mhm.
and so that's where we all come in.
And we will have the contract before the commission, before it's
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
implemented.
Before we
I just
sit
spent
down.
a few days in Rhode Island with my cousin and Mary, so she mentioned that she was gonna be doing that.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah,
Where, once you've got this, once, I can't remember her name, Lindsay
Lynn
Woolsey.
Bassett, Lynn Bassett, yep.
Lynn Bassett starts this and makes some recommendations on the storage. Is that just gonna go right back to the curatorial building, or is there any plans to get it into a place that would be in,
We don't have any other place.
yeah.
What?
Barry, if you can't hear me, I will try to talk louder, but is there, once Lynn makes recommendations for the storage of the materials, where will you be storing it? There's no other place but the curatorial building,
That's
is that
right. Yeah.
So it's right back where it was,
Yeah,
basically.
But we could also ask some recommendations. We've talked about putting storage into the Bullard House. If she
Yeah.
has recommendations about what
Yeah.
would be appropriate for us to have
Someday,
built,
yeah.
that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about, is there any
Yeah,
other
but that
place?
would,
But that's it in the future.
in the
Yeah.
future, because we couldn't humidify it or,
Mm.
Well, we've gotta have the roof the ceiling stop crumbling on the second floor before we, have any, storage
Plans.
of
Good calls.
Yeah.
And Barry,
important
just let me know if you
documents
can't hear
and,
me, okay? Because,
No, I mean, everything is in the curatorial building now, and it will go back there.
yeah,
Maybe in a little bit different order and so forth, but, yeah.
and
that's-
maybe less of it.
maybe less of it, that would be
Well,
good.
How much less remains to be seen.
That's right. But
Most of the
hopefully
historical
some
stuff,
less.
most of the older stuff, I think, is gonna be there. It's the 20th century stuff that
Yeah.
might be weeded out a bit.
And don't forget the stuff in our attic.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot, there's not a
Yeah.
lot, I don't think.
Yeah,
You can't always tell how much is in one of those boxes, but.
well, and it varies so much.
Mm.
Sometimes it's one item because it's big and fluffy and
Mhm.
so forth,
so
and
one
other
down or
times there's
something, yeah.
3 things in a
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was Alma and me, but
Mm. Oh, when you put them in the boxes, yeah. Well, they're all there. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's
you
handled them
can
at
look
all.
at the outside and see how many things are itemized before you,
Well, of course, those boxes are much bigger boxes, the ones that are still down at the farm. And they're enormous boxes, so
They're not
therefore
ve-
you're gonna have more
they're
different
not
things
very
in-
deep though.
No,
They're just,
maybe
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah,
yeah, they're really flat.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
they're kind of awkward actually, but they are a little less expensive than the ones with the grommets on the
Yeah.
side. It fit Bill's budget better.
Yeah.
Okay,
And those, I mean, those we've got to bring up for her to go through when
Yeah.
when we get to them, yeah.
Sure.
And in fact, there's, Karen and I have talked about coming down on a Wednesday morning and going through those
Mhm.
and probably pulling the descriptions that are in them.
Mhm.
We'll number them and number the boxes and stuff and take the descriptions up so we can put that into the material we've been compiling for Lynn.
you might not want to keep all that's there.
Oh, I know that.
They,
I know
they
that.
were kind of the scragglies from Richard's, choices.
Mhm.
When the show was done in 2008, I think it was, that was from your mother-in-law's collection.
Mhm.
That's the stuff that didn't get used in the show.
Mhm.
And so it lay there for quite a while, and then they went down and organized it and put it away.
Right.
And, yeah, I think there are things, there may well be things there that we won't keep.
Yeah, that you don't, yeah.
But because they didn't make it into the show,
Yeah.
there's reasons for that, and it may be condition and it may be other things.
And we didn't pack everything too. I mean,
No.
Alma made she discriminated against some things that weren't worth
Some things that
bothering.
weren't it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I do, and I also think some of that stuff is accessories or
Yes.
or pieces of a collection as opposed to a whole costume.
That's right.
And, again, that relates to that whole business and how it was created. So I really wanted to look at the basic collection first. Those will be things we'll bring to her later after she's seen a lot of the other stuff, so that she'll have a better idea of whether it's,
It fits
what
into the
what the worth of
collection or
those
not,
things
yeah.
is for us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions about,
But I need to arrange with you so that we come down, we should do that in the next month.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
Look
it's
at those
perfect because we have an electrician who is rewiring the whole house.
oh, yeah,
And they're in the attic right now. So
Oh.
my guess is in another, what did you say, a month?
well, in the
Less than a
course
month.
of the month, yeah.
Yeah, well, just check with me and we'll make sure that
Yeah.
those lights are in.
Oh,
If you
Okay.
wanna work up in the attic, it might be too hot, we might just carry them downstairs, but,
Well, we might, but
Yeah.
chances are we'd work up there, but
Yeah.
we might not wanna come on a
Yeah.
super hot
yeah,
sunny day.
yeah,
If the sun isn't beating on the roof, it'd be better.
yeah, yes, it would be much nicer.
Yeah.
That would need to be done soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we all have to.
So, just a clarification, I thought I heard you say she's not hourly, is she? Or is she?
No, it's
No.
day, it's a,
By the day.
it's a
By the
day,
day.
it's a 6-hour day because she has to come so far.
Mhm.
And her rate at this time is $500 a day, but when I read the Northampton work, it was 400, and so we split the difference.
Mm, good.
She agreed to do this contract at $450.
That's
Mhm.
right. And the arithmetic is 25 days, which was her estimate based on Barry's approximation of 500 items.
Mm.
And she felt that would take about 25 days. Some days you'd only do 2 things because they were important. Some days you might do like 20.
Mhm.
Wow.
And there's
And
a,
we really need to make sure we've got 1 and 2 people there when she's there,
So a
so
hearing,
that we can do moving stuff and doing things like that, so that her time isn't
Mhm.
wasted.
but it's also listening to what she has to say.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
because that, we want whoever's volunteering to get the benefit of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's too bad you can't tape that, record it.
Well, I suppose you could if you had someone willing to do it.
Well, it's worth thinking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
You'd
It,
have to edit it
it's a
pretty
lot simpler
fiercely.
nowadays to do something like that than it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can record on your phone.
Yeah, and it, but at least some of the time, it would be nice to record things.
Mhm.
When Janet and Tim and I and we had a couple of other guests that day, we went to the Quilt Museum
Mm.
Yeah,
to bring, well, it's Cordelia's quilt,
Yeah.
but she was actually the second maker.
Mm.
She wasn't the original
Mhm.
maker.
she remade it.
And,
We don't know who the original one is, do we? I mean,
yes, it's Hannah.
It was Hannah, okay,
I mean, that's Tim's best guess, and
Yeah,
I think he's
yeah.
right, probably.
yeah.
That's a great, how many greats for Tim? Great, great, great?
Great, great, great for Cordelia. Wait a minute, great, yes. Great, great,
Oh,
great, I think. for
that's me.
Cordelia.
That's
So
my-
your car is ready?
That's
This
your
is a
car.
call in the car.
Oh, there we go. That's important.
Yeah, I just want to say that when we had the quilt documented at the, because that's a database that they keep from
Are you
Mass.
familiar with what we're talking about, the quilt?
No,
Well, no,
I was
I'm
trying
not,
to
but-
explain.
Okay,
but
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you might wanna add a few little explanations.
There's that particular quilt that the Wheeler family has that needed to be documented.
Mhm.
And the New England Quilt Museum has a documentation program for Massachusetts quilts. So you have to make an appointment, and it has to be on a Thursday when their people are available.
Mhm.
And the upshot is, we had a very nice day, and it's quite a remarkable quilt, and they had a lot to say about it. But they want their findings, their potential findings, to be confirmed by Lynn Bassett.
Mhm.
She is considered an expert over even their experience.
Yeah, and they had some pretty strong experts that night, that day that we were
yeah,
there,
The
yeah.
curator, yeah, was
So
there.
Lynn Bassett must be,
Yeah. Well,
the
she
be
has
all
a
and
lot
end
of
all.
experience, you
Yeah.
know, just, so anyway, I thought
That'd be
that was.
exciting.
So we're lucky to have her.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm,
And we need
I'm,
to utilize
yeah,
her.
I'm
Do you have to
very
leave,
happy
Barry?
that she would even bother with us,
No.
really.
I said I'll be there by 5.
she's bothering with the quilt probably, not us.
Yeah, right, she'll bother with the quilt.
Yeah.
We'll come second.
Yeah.
So the next bunch of items is really the Bullard House, and the first thing is to do something about the wet timbers. What do you, I did call Dor way back, and I didn't get a response, which doesn't surprise me. I could call again. I think Mickey Gibbons looked at it, and he really, I think even though you could encapsulate, maybe that's probably not the best solution.
I
that it
found
would
out
be.
a little history about those. You probably know this, Mary, but I was talking to Bob Giles, and he said that those beams came from the old salt shed on Route 62. It was
Yeah, that's-
donated by, I guess, Denny Bartlett, and they used it not thinking that it would cause so much damage.
I knew all of that.
Well, I'm just
I mean, I
telling everybody.
Yeah, she's
Well, I
letting.
told you that a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever.
Well, it's
Yeah,
good to
they-
hear it again.
I didn't know, so.
It's good to hear
Well,
it again.
Informed a new person, or I
There was
wasn't
more
listening.
detail than what I remember from your story of it.
Yeah.
But
So-
anyways, there it is.
So how do you, I mean,
Interesting.
just letting things linger doesn't make me feel very,
It'd be
Good.
nice to get it done this
It's
summer, but
it's important to do, whether it's done this month or next month or even 3 months later is probably not of much import. But we certainly want to do it before we do anything else
Yeah.
that would be in that area.
well, we have to have a plan. We have to have someone who's willing to do it.
We have to
and
find,
we
yeah,
have to have an
that's right.
estimate.
And it really involves taking stuff apart to get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna be,
How big do you think
Challenge.
that beam is, Barry?
oh, it's only the length, I
Just
mean,
a
there's
short.
nothing that's more than about the width of that room.
So, rather than encapsulate it, would it be better to just take it out and
Oh,
replace
yeah.
that?
Of course it should be taken,
Yeah.
yeah, it should be taken
Yeah.
out. Should be taken out. The lower piece that's on top of the post, we can probably jack up and put something else there and take that one out and replace it.
Yeah.
The piece the other one is installed between other things, and that's the piece that really needs to come out of there.
Yeah.
And that'll be more complicated.
Well, Mickey's in Ireland because his father was ill. So, he's not back as far as I know.
Yeah,
Do you want me to call Tommy Dorr again?
well, you can, but I don't know that he's gonna be interested, I don't know. Let me think about it.
Well, we need to have something that we can go
why
forward
don't you
with.
try him
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, also, the issue also was how much, I mean, is it, a couple $1,000 or is it an unknown? How close could they come to, so we know how to,
Well, once they look at it, they can kind of give us an
Well,
estimate.
yeah, I was hoping that,
Do you want me to look by, I can find out some other people that could do that type of work too. I mean, if you wanna call Tom Dorr,
yeah.
I'll see if I can, cause I do
Yeah,
know people who
and
do
tell
that.
them that we need, if you do find someone that's willing to look at it, we need their best estimate.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
And how much are they replacing? You talk about the beam, is it
It's
just
two
one?
timbers.
Two timbers, okay.
One is shorter than the other, right?
One is shorter and easy to get to.
Mhm.
The other one is kind of embedded in things, and
Mhm.
that's the one that's gonna be
Mhm.
interesting to get out.
Mm.
I wonder if I could get Todd Matthew to look at it.
The problem with Todd is it takes him forever to get
work
on
on it,
his
you mean?
schedule. I called
Okay,
him last
schedule.
October
Yeah.
and he finally came
Yeah,
to look at it. I still don't have an estimate.
that's right. There you go. That's the other piece of it. We need to get a handle on the whole thing. It may be something we'll end up doing with Historical Society money or something, just to get it done.
Would the CPA money would not qualify for that?
No, we would have to use the select board money.
Yeah.
I mean, if it were about 2,000, we could cover it, but if it's much more than that, we don't have enough.
Well, the other problem is that then you're back to the prevailing wage and the local guys that don't wanna deal with that and all that stuff, so.
Well, it's, no matter which way we go and who pays for it, it's a town-owned property, and the constraint stops there.
No, not necessarily if you're not using the town's money.
I don't think so.
I
let's
can
not get
rent
into,
it out.
let's
You
proceed.
can rent it out and avoid the prevailing wage.
Huh?
You
Rent
can
what?
rent the property out, or you can give it to somebody for, to use for $1 or something. The Historical Society could take it over for $1, and then we would not have to deal with the prevailing wage.
Let's talk about this issue,
Yeah,
because it's
later.
very important under reorganization, which is last. Sorry about that. That's-
No, that's good. Let's do
Yeah.
that. Okay, so I have let me see, never mind, next is independent heating.
Yeah. Ellie has her packet, and she's refining it a little bit with some extra
Yeah.
information. Maybe
Yeah.
we need another photo or two, or do you think it's?
Well, I need to go back and see, Barry thinks that Marty and I missed one vent in the front parlor. But I've been meaning to get down there and vacuum anyway, so. And I've added some notes for the vents. A couple of the vents were unique. And the one in the bathroom, we didn't have because it was taken out, but the ductwork doesn't go there, so we wanted to put a note
Okay,
that there's ductwork even though there's no vent currently.
Yeah.
okay.
And there's 2 vents upstairs that don't have any ductwork. So,
Just takes
yeah,
heat
they,
from the
yeah, it was-
lower level.
exactly, so they,
They're
the
opening,
little storage room, well, we call it a storage.
they look like vents, they really aren't
Yeah,
part of the heating system at
but
all.
that means that back bedroom, the little storage room that we've been looking at, doesn't have any
Heat,
ductwork.
direct heat.
That's right.
Okay. What I need to say about this is we've got our for all practical purposes, we've got this heating packet done.
Yes,
Yeah,
And so we wanna use it. And I went back to the time when we were still dealing with Dan, but he was telling us that he was about to retire. And the independent heating consultant that he referred to us was Ken Beck from Littleton. And at the time, this is January 23 now. And at the time, I contacted him, and to do a complete energy assessment, it was like about $6,500. And I got back to him and I said, we really only need you to talk to us about heating and cooling. And so he said the best he could do would be $4,000 to make that assessment. But nobody on the commission wanted to spend any money, so we didn't do anything. So now we're back there all over again, and we have advice from Tim Wysocki that really is the way to go. Besides putting all this information together to help him and to reduce maybe steps that he has to take, we still would be best served if we had an independent assessment that isn't dependent on any kind of vendor.
So would Tim Wysocki fill that? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh, okay.
No, he can't do that.
He-
Where do we stand, and I'm just gonna move over a little bit, where do we stand with doing the basement, clearing out the basement and making sure that the basement is,
we don't have any plan.
none at all?
We're waiting to investigate the northeast corner, which we hope will happen, and that will give us some information about what we know causes
Well, that's the
infiltration.
leakage. Yeah, that's the leakage, the water
Yeah.
flowing through.
and the cleaning out of the basement has been held in abeyance until we put in the walk-in.
Yeah, so is that,
But it all hinges on this comprehensive drainage project, right? Which affects us because we're downhill from where the water might be causing some trouble. Now, we have deliverables from the architect, and we've been through that, right, at 2 previous meetings. I don't have any deliverables from the civil engineering, but we did pay a bill to help support their design. So I did ask Kristen if there was something we could look at, but I don't have any feedback. That's ARPA money. And as you know, the work has to be completed by the end of '26 for anything you've contracted. Otherwise,
On the parking lot
Yeah.
business and so forth.
yeah, otherwise ARPA, we can't use the money.
The
I don't
money
know
has
what-
to be used.
Yeah, I don't know what happens to it, but we wouldn't be
It's
able
the
to.
end of '26?
Yep.
Not '25, it's '26?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
Well, the other piece of that is we also need to get estimates so that we, and find the rest of the money.
Yes,
Work with the town to find the rest of the money.
yeah, good, I know, good luck.
Because this is only gonna, we've had to spend so much on planning that we don't have all that much left to actually go to the construction stage.
Lucy, we've spent a little under 10,000 from the ARPA funds. I brought that up last time, when you were
Here
here.
we have, what, 50?
55 something.
55. So
So-
we got 45 and we know it's 100,000 plus.
So do you want me to reconnect with Ken Beck and ask him ask him to come look at the place, or to give us an estimate again?
Who?
Ken Beck, He's
He's the
from
one that
Littleton.
Dan
it's
Barton
BL,
had
Oh,
recommended.
we're
It's a-
back, okay.
Yeah.
We're back
The
on the
heating
heating system.
guy, yeah.
yeah, we got astray there, so I'm keeping you on track. Is anyone opposed to spending money for an independent eye?
Well, it sounds like
This
that's
is the
what
best
is being
advice.
recommended to us.
Yeah, this is the best advice that Tim can give us, Tim Wysocki.
Well,
Otherwise, we're comparing, as it is now, we're comparing apples to oranges, or some of the apples we don't even have, right?
If you go to people that are gonna do the work and they estimate it, and they're all gonna come up, you're gonna end up with different people's opinion of what to do, and therefore, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
If you go to somebody like this, you get the plan for the thing, and then you put that out to those people, and this is the plan, do it our way. And then you get
Which I think
comparable.
might be cheaper in the long run, because you're gonna get exactly what you want, not,
Yeah, or
Well,
the
it
best
won't be
fit.
cheaper, but it'll be,
well, I
you
think you're not gonna
can be assured that you're doing the right thing better.
you're not spending money where you don't need to spend money.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good choice.
Yeah, well, I can start with Ken Beck because he
We
was
have his
he
name.
was recommended to us, and he did respond the last time.
Tell them that we're closer to,
Yeah.
We had that guy that we talked to about the curatorial building, that was the engineer that did the plan for the heating there for Austin Design. And I don't know if we ought to have his name somewhere, because we were actually talking to him, so.
What-
He didn't come on site at that time.
Lars Nielsen did service
Yeah.
but Northborough Oil put that in, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking, but the design for that was done by the engineer for Austin.
That's right, but we never saw him.
No, we never saw him, but that would be the kind of person you go to
Yes,
for the kind of thing we're talking about. So that might be a way that we find another person to ask about it.
all right, so does anybody wanna contact Do you want me to contact Austin Design and ask them if there's somebody local to us other than,
Well, that's
mean,
one
Ken-
thing, but I mean, the,
Ken Beck is in Littleton, you know? I can ask Austin Design.
What,
I'm not offering because I don't know enough about
yeah,
this.
no, I don't wanna,
Mm.
but is there any reason not to continue with the, you know, whatever we decide to put, the entrance into the cellar at this point? I mean, I'm thinking that if we at least got those things out of the way, then we wouldn't have to worry not worry, but once we get the cellar all plugged up, like it's supposed to, like it's been suggested over the years and insulated and everything, that could change the plans for the, for the heat and what we do and how we
Sure.
go about doing it, installing it.
Well, I think a stable foundation,
I mean, that's where I would wanna start is right with the foundation and get that straightened out.
I don't really think,
But we're not ready to put the heating system in yet.
no, I know, but we need to know what it is we want, because we can't apply for,
We have to
Uh,
get funding.
we can't apply for a green what is it called? Green.
Yeah, forgot.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, well, the point in proceeding with what it is we really want, and I guess I take issue with the fact that we can't know that without doing a walk-in and fixing the foundation needs to be secured, but that would be a given for the heating person. I don't think that the foundation plan needs to come before we know what we want, heating and cooling wise. We just need to know what we want, because we can't, getting a green community solutions grant takes quite a while. And who knows, maybe the funds will be,
So we can't do this simultaneously?
yes, we can, but one doesn't have to come before the other, that's all.
Doesn't
we
matter
can-
which comes first, are you saying? Are you saying it doesn't matter which comes first when you say?
No, of course it matters what
Yeah.
comes first, but we need to get a plan
Mhm.
so that we can go figure out how much we need to apply for a grant.
Mhm.
Because we don't have the funding right now for the
Right.
grant, for the heating. That's not covered in the CPA
Mhm.
funds that we have.
That's right. It's,
And
hopefully
what
we
she's
have
saying
enough
is,
for the foundation.
it's gonna take a while to get the grant.
yeah, Tim has encouraged us to move forward with this. He understands that we don't have a secure foundation. I'm pretty sure he understands that, because he's seen it.
So, well, I guess the point is that we don't all have to work on working toward the grant,
No,
you know?
well,
And so in the meanwhile, we can still continue working on getting the entrance into the basement and then getting the work done in the basement too.
Yeah, and I think that
I
the walk-in entry kind of got sidetracked because we had asked
Yeah.
for help getting specifics, and that kind of died.
Yeah, so,
it wasn't clear also whether having the drainage issues figured out, it isn't clear to me whether that impacts having a walk-in and what kind of a walk-in that you have. That
Mhm.
we need to, I think
Well-
we could ask the civil engineering people about that.
I'm not sure I understand. If we wanna walk in to get all the stuff out of the cellar so that they can go in and do the work,
Right, you have to it's not that simple though. Don't you have to regrade that area, and isn't there some drainage that would be affected there?
It might be, I don't know that it is greatly tied to the drainage issue, though.
So we could try to go forward
With the walk-in thing?
with the walk-in.
Yeah,
cause we can be working simultaneously with more than one thing. I mean, there's a few of us that can do different things.
Well, there was never any limit put on that, but it just didn't happen. I mean,
So much money.
But for the walk-in, there is some money, the CPA money for the walk-in, correct?
I did talk to Tim Wheeler
Oh.
a long time ago, and I asked if a bulkhead or a walk-in access could be tied to the foundation work,
Mm-hmm.
and he said it could.
I'm thinking that too, that would make sense.
But that should be confirmed, but it doesn't need to be, I think we need to have, I mean, that original little approximation
Yeah.
that we had from that company was, it has to go out to bid because it was about
Oh, yeah.
25 grand. So there's
No,
some,
it's about 21, but it still has to go out to bid, I mean, there's no question about that. You know,
so that, it's quite a process.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's one we probably wanna keep working on.
Well, we can,
I mean, I'll go out and get some information for that. And you know, I was hoping to get here before the meeting started, and I wanted to tell you all that, you know, I'm going off topic here, and if you wanna stop that, that's fine, but I appreciate that, you know, like when my daughter was so sick and she's much better, and I do have to say, I was never sure that she was gonna make it. But she was recently had her PET scan, and it said that there's no sign of a lymphoma. She had another test to find out whether or not she still has a sign of lymphoma. I haven't heard back from that. So I appreciate your time and your patience with me because I could not deal with everything with this. And so I let a lot
A
of
lot of
things
stress
slip.
there.
Mm.
I let a lot of things slip, and, you know, my apologies to all of you for that, and I appreciate, you know, your understanding for that, because there were times when I would just go home and fall apart.
well, I think
Yeah, there's nothing worse than
Yeah.
your child. You know.
you just need to let me or somebody know
Well,
that you, if something should happen, even to yourself and not your daughter, that is so that it's hard for you to follow through, you just need to let us know so we can pick up the pieces.
well, most of the things I did follow through with. The one thing was GibCal, which was a problem, but nonetheless. And sorry, but that was beyond my ability to do at the time, because I was just overwhelmed with that. And, you know, I mean, it's bad enough when it's you being, you know, if it were me, it would be different, but if it was my daughter, and I wasn't sure that she was gonna make it. And, I guess
Well, you toughed it
historical was
out.
not the most important thing I had to deal with.
No.
Well, we're a
not
team,
for
and
any
you
of
If
just
we're
have to tell us that
But I
we
did
need
m-
to follow through instead of you, that's all. That's
I
the only
did
point I'm
mention
making.
that I was not gonna be able to follow through with the livestock generally, but
Yeah, just don't feel badly
With
if
the
you can't.
independent heating, are we set with what you want to happen at this point?
My question, if we're gonna end up with $4,000 or something to assess the heating thing, do we have that money?
That can be under Article 22 because it's engineering. We
So
have,
we could use some of that money for
yeah,
that?
we could, yeah.
Okay. That was my thing, is
Where
if
will
we
it
got
come
money to
from?
fund it.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta talk to some people that might do it for us and see what it would be.
All
That's
right, so there's Kenbeck,
That's one,
there's Austin Design to referral.
yeah.
That's all I have.
I'm just trying to think of what other projects that have happened that we might find a name through, you know?
Who did 19 Carter use? Did they have an engineer?
No, not that I remember. I think we asked I've already asked, but I'll ask her again.
Well, somebody had to have made the plan to do the heat pumps and the radial in the basement and all of that stuff.
And the
that would
propane,
have been,
but they were
that
done,
would have been Al.
they, well, I think it was more than Al, but he definitely was part of the
Yeah.
team. But they,
Might Al have ideas about this?
Well,
About who we might get for this kind of a job?
well, we could ask him.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
mean,
he does.
that's, I mean, you know,
I'm sure he
who
does.
does he know that might put us in the right direction for it?
He would have that information.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
All right,
Again,
so
we're
we-
not looking for a contractor, we're looking for an engineer
To design.
to
the
advise,
plan.
it to design a plan, yeah.
All right. So we have three people to ask.
Yeah. At least just try to find our way.
Okay, so that's how we'll go forward at this point.
And I need to go back and
Yeah,
get that, check on that.
okay, and just,
If I need a picture,
Yeah.
I'll give you a call.
okay, so the next thing under the Bullard House is to see if Lucy has an estimate for that northeast corner work.
Right here. What's that?
Should we make copies, or?
I
Yeah.
think I have one,
People.
don't I?
No, that's an old one.
This is an old one?
This is the update. What you would have is an old one.
Yeah,
so-
we had an old one, but this is updated,
This is-
we need that.
I mean, it's still under the it's way under the $10,000. The only one thing is that he might have to, the last item might go up a little depending on how deeply he has to dig to find out whether it's 42 or 50 inches. It might change. cause
The
that.
backfilling?
Not the backfill, the last thing, the 785. That might go up a little bit.
That's backfilling. It says D, backfilling upon completion of the tasks mentioned,
Yeah.
backfilling the soil back into the stone foundation wall will be performed. Site work will include grading the soil surface.
Yeah.
This cost may increase slightly if excavation to 50 inches is needed to sufficiently waterproof.
Yeah, so it's at that point, but that's kind of the digging part of it, actually.
Yeah. Lucy, do you wanna see if that copy machine will work? I
Does
know-
anybody know how to use a copy machine better than I do?
Well, I don't think I'm any better than you, but
Want me to come and
Yeah.
make
give
it
you moral
harder?
support.
Make it worse?
Maybe we.
I would go and
I
copy
think
it,
the
but I would not do it with help. God.
Just,
So this is the estimate for the thing in the corner of the foundation,
Yeah.
okay.
Fixing their sinkhole there.
yeah, so, and that also comes from, now that's foundation, so that would come from Article 10 or whatever it is. We have $96,000 in that, but we're trying to
Save as much as we
save it
can.
because we
Yeah.
don't know how much money it will take to secure the foundation. And we actually don't have, except for maybe some suggestions from Gibkel, we don't have a new plan to supplant the one from
The
TF
very
Moran.
fancy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
My thought is we ought to repoint the foundation that's there. I know it's a mess, but it's a mess. It's an old thing and you repoint it, redo it,
well,
repoint it.
yeah, that's fine, as long as we can retard any water.
Yeah.
And,
We need a little experience after the Gibkel job is done to see whether we're getting water from anywhere else. But I don't think we are. I think it's all
Well,
coming from there.
When we were down there, there was water trickling down the front, but that's because you can see, so
it's coming in just
any
because.
Yeah.
snow that was melting
Yeah,
could just,
yeah.
I don't think it was the foundation itself that was leaking, it was where there was
Separation
gaps
under,
between the house and
under
the
the
Gaps in,
sill.
gaps in the
yeah.
mortar all through that wall, sure.
And along kind of where the oil tank is,
Yeah,
there's some kind of gappiness there, but that if we put in a walk-in entry
Yes.
there, that would be resolved that way,
Because it would be,
because we'd be
yeah,
taking it
Redoing
out
that
and
area.
redoing it anyway.
Yeah,
And I think that, that walk-in, we're gonna have to shore up that wall so it can support a doorway, right?
yeah, I mean, you can say that,
And I don't know whether repointing is adequate, or whether they're going to have to do a little bit of in the structural support.
oh, they're gonna
there.
have to redo some structure there a little
So we
bit,
have a
without
doorway.
question. Yeah, to make it fit,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that would fix that gappiness there. It's mainly along the front.
Yeah.
But,
So-
and those blocked up windows that, yeah, they're just garbage. At this point. But I think the main issue is that sinkhole and
That's right.
the silt that's running
That's the
through
big-
because of the,
well, it's a
the
known
water,
defect for
It's
yeah.
a
sure.
big problem.
the driveway runoff.
Okay. So you got it to work.
Yep. Everybody have one? Not yours. So Kristen mentioned that she didn't have the up-to-date,
Yeah, I saw that.
however, I thought that they had submitted another one.
Well, if they have it, isn't it just a matter of,
Cause well, June wouldn't have paid him if it weren't up to date,
well, that's true,
yeah, so,
that's true. But she,
Anyways,
but
we'll figure it out.
actually, she was waiting on Kristen to okay it at that point.
but we,
And,
Chris,
and the last thing was the building permit.
Kristen would not have,
To okay what?
In order for them to be paid finally,
Yeah,
which was either the end of December or January, they had to come, they had to submit a building permit, which they hadn't pulled before,
yeah,
and they had to get their other paperwork, their insurance
the
certification.
contractor's license and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
the insurance, certificate of insurance, and the thing about it is that they didn't finish it until October sixth.
That's right.
And the, COI expired on 10/29, so I'm kind of thinking that somewhere along the line, there must have been another one, but I haven't, I couldn't find it in my files. Maybe June Poland has it.
Yeah, well,
I'll
but
check
I
with
don't, well,
see her
she
Monday.
might, she might.
I'll see her Monday.
So, our job right now is to look at the estimate and see if we're happy with it.
And then the considerations at the bottom, what he did say that he would do is he would, have the digging done, before the weekend, just before the weekend, so that you'd have the whole weekend to do your investigation of the soil and see if there's anything of interest in there.
Oh, okay. That would be nice.
Investigate what?
We wanna just,
Soil investigation
we
and-
wanna look at the remains of the stone walls that,
Well, once they get
that
it dug out.
supported
Oh,
a
yeah,
structure, yeah.
But that's not gonna take us long.
No,
You had asked for several hours, so.
I asked for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
But if we had the weekend, we could pick the best
Yeah.
temperature.
Oh, yeah. And time, so it'd be good to get this done. The one thing that they took out was, again, the French drain,
Yeah.
because hopefully complete street will, whatever is needed, might interfere with what complete streets and the other drainage is doing work to be done.
So it's basically 4.5 feet they're going down.
About, yeah.
I sent a copy of this, to you on email and one to Kristen too, so she could look it over.
Oh, good.
The other piece in this that we haven't talked about is the stone step. The bottom step
Yeah,
has dropped down,
yeah.
and we would wanna get that pushed back up in place.
That would, yeah, they would look into that too. They would
Okay.
take care of that.
They'd observed that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he did mention it too.
yeah.
He did mention that.
Yeah, I think this is fine. As a whole, I think this is fine, and I guess we need, the one thing that I would say is we wanna put the permits and stuff are drawn for it before we start.
Well, I did talk to Richard Hanks about this already, and he said, yeah, definitely need one, and that's fine. Yeah, we can get that pulled out or pulled in, there's no cost, because it is town.
But we want them to pull the permit, because that also involves
Yeah.
whatever other paperwork that
Yeah.
that Richard needs, so.
Yeah.
That's the other piece of that. No,
Mhm.
that's fine. I think that's
Do we
good.
need to vote to approve it,
Yeah, just
to
a simple,
accept it, or
simple
what are
vote.
what are we doing?
I just made a note on the bottom that the bottom stone step
Yeah. Well, they,
should be raised to grade.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well, that's a good thing to know, but I'm pretty sure that he would take care of that too.
Yeah,
He
I
wouldn't
just
leave
put
it like that.
I just put it on my notes.
I have a feeling that their excavation is probably going to
Yeah,
require them to
To remove it.
move
Anyway,
that stone.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
will,
then
'cause
they'll,
it-
obviously they replace it.
The
part.
other one is built into the foundation,
Yeah,
and they probably can support that and leave it there, but they probably are gonna have to pull the bottom one out anyway.
okay.
I don't know. They didn't, when they did the original excavation for the water line, they didn't take any of them out. But in order to do what these guys are trying to do, I think they may have to.
They have to pull all the soil away in order
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
get to the.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, maybe before, when they come back to take a look at it and everything, if you
We'll
would
ch-
wanna be there to let them know
Yeah,
all of this stuff, your concerns,
yeah,
that would be.
that's just the piece that's,
Yeah, and that's,
that.
A good concern. Do you think there was ever an entrance into the cellar,
Huh?
Barry? Do you think that was ever an entrance into the cellar?
no, the cellar extended out in that space.
Hmm.
Extended 13 feet out from the end of the house.
Yeah, and that was never an entrance into the cellar.
No, I don't think so.
It
We
was a
don't know
separate-
that. We don't know, because the other end, there's nothing in the end of those. Those two walls go out and they end, and there's no end to that there.
Yeah.
So, who knows what it was before.
And there's no photos of a building structure being out there.
Well, there was more building there.
Right, but
Yeah.
there's no photographs to show anything.
It
Oh,
didn't-
God,
didn't-
no.
It didn't survive long enough.
No,
yeah.
it didn't survive into that far
That's- yeah.
forward. I don't know when it disappeared,
Hmm.
but the 1890 picture has.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there, and probably it was gone before that, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Who knows?
It appears to be, the stonework appears to be original to the time that the foundation was built in that area where the cellar stairs are and stuff. It
Yeah.
appears to be all built at once there. So, and that I find mystifying, because who knows what was, I don't know what it was about at all.
It,
Yeah.
To me, it's likely it was for animals.
It could be,
Well,
Uh,
especially if there's not other evidence anywhere
4 feet high
for
though?
taking care of animals.
but it could be, it also could have been,
We don't know how high, well, we do know how high the structure was because of the tenons.
yes, and
Yeah.
they are not up that high, which indicates to me that the ground may have been the floor. There may not have been a floor, or if it was right with the ground.
Yeah.
Because it's gotta be stepped down from the house, because the place where the timbers went into the house frame are dropped down from the level of the timbers in the first floor rooms.
Yeah.
That's really the most telling piece of,
Yeah,
aside from the stones in the ground.
and I just have no idea what that is, and we don't know when the house was built. We still don't know whether it was 1740 or 1780. If it was 1780, it could have been the noon house to go with the meeting house. There's a lot of possibilities, but you just don't know.
Well,
Of course, now, then as I talk about the ground level, there had to be a floor over the part where that tunnel is.
yeah.
And they go into the house because that was the hearth support for the big chimney in that corner, in the cellar.
Well, maybe it was part of the, where they used to hide, prisoners from,
Oh,
what do they used to call that?
what are
Okay,
you
Lord.
thinking about, the
The Underground
Underground Railroad?
There we
Oh,
go.
Underground Railroad, sure.
yeah,
Well, probably not, but it would have made a good hiding place.
You know, I'm
Remember
thinking
Gracie
of,
Stammers claimed there was a closet in her house.
under the stairs. Under the stairs in
Yeah.
Gracie's house. And that one's,
Because there was Quaker, right?
yeah, that one's worth considering. Certainly.
She wanted to believe it.
I mean, one of the problems with Underground Railroad stuff is that it was illegal.
Yeah.
So therefore, things
You
are
didn't
not
talk
well
about it.
recorded
Yeah.
about it, because they were doing it something that was illegal.
It's pretty much oral history and, and then
Yeah.
combined with, some kind of structural evidence that,
And we certainly could have had it, but the further east you get in Massachusetts, the further you are from a direct route to Canada, from, New York or New Jersey or someplace. And
Yeah.
why would you come this far east to get there when you could go straight?
Okay, let's have a vote to go forward with this estimate.
I make a motion that we accept the estimate from Gib Kell for the work to the northeast side of the foundation.
And a second.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. That's good.
I will check with, Mickey Gibbons to find out when he would be available to do that.
Okay.
I'll try
Right.
and get in touch with him soon.
Do we need to be after August 1st?
Yeah.
If they're going to be having access to the,
I don't
Old
think
Town
so.
Hall?
but-
I'm a little concerned about that, I will say that. If they're in there coming to do filming and we're trying to do a construction project right there by the driveway, that may be a problem.
So after August 1st.
So chances are we need to have the work start after August 1st.
That's too bad. Well,
I hate to put it off, but I think that's that's worth doing. I mean,
yeah.
this thing with the TV filming and stuff is,
well, I did get a message that if we need to be in there at a time when they're not filming, which is only certain days,
I know,
just a few days,
yeah.
that we can make arrangements with them.
Yeah, but I think digging up the lawn is something completely different.
Well, maybe it wouldn't be good for Gibcal, they would,
No.
Well, this,
Particularly if you've got the crew like they have today, there wouldn't be room.
well, today's the big day.
Well, today is
And there will be
filming.
other big days probably, so.
Their the parking lot at St. Joseph's is completely full.
yeah. Well, they had 100 people here today.
At
Jim,
St.
what is
Joseph's,
that
okay.
for?
Yeah.
What's going on? I should
They're
know this.
filming in the middle of town, at
Okay,
the
that-
old town hall.
All right, that's
The
what I
town
figured
hall,
it was
yeah.
filming, but then I thought, maybe.
And
There's
then-
there's been signs in most of the center of town buildings saying
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just
May
wondering,
16th,
May 16th, yeah.
stay away if you can.
I think it's once a month.
It was great, cause we
Maybe-
sort of
maybe
just slipped
more.
in and there were no cars anywhere and,
well, we had a
Yeah.
chat with, Karen and I had a chat with the lady, the woman that was there from the place. And I've dealt with her a little bit before, she's nice enough and not paying any attention, we did as we pleased. But, she told us that, there was a truck coming on Wednesday, and she suggested we move our cars before the truck got in there, so we could get out all right. And then, we talked about it, and if it's a filming day,
Yes.
we don't wanna be there.
no.
We just don't wanna be there.
No, there's no use trying to interfere
Should be
with that.
crawling
No.
with people and all kinds of stuff and so forth, and, if it came on if they do one on a Wednesday or something, we just won't go that day, that's all.
Because there's another sign, base camp, right by the DPW building, by the highway department.
Oh, they're down there?
Base camp, yeah.
Do we need to vote on this still?
We just did.
Yes, we do.
We-
We
You
did vote,
seconded it.
We did vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
We did, quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we made a motion and seconded.
And
Yes, and we did,
all
We
those
did
in
get-
favor, and I think.
Yep.
we all said aye.
Yep,
yeah,
we did.
everybody did.
Okay, the next thing is, our expectations from CMRPC. Jane Wyrick, who is working on historic preservation for them, we're just one of 5 projects. And she did come to the board house, and I think she enjoyed her visit. She's said that she would get back to us fairly soon.
Yeah. I was impressed, but I think she was impressed with us too, I got that feeling, that we were doing so many things and thinking about what would work
Well,
best for the,
She thinks it's pretty nifty that it's a
Yeah.
people's house and that
yeah.
it's multi-period.
And I think we
And
stressed that
readapted.
these were the real people that didn't have much wherewithal, some of them, and,
Yeah.
you know, I think that she was very
Yeah.
interested in that.
She mentioned her specialty is, that she did some graduate work was landscaping. And
Yeah, yeah.
it was historic landscaping
Mhm.
too, so.
Yeah.
She might have something to say about that.
And I'd forgotten to bring my water, and she said, "Oh," and she hopped out of the car and went into the back and brought me a bottle of water. I said, "This is gonna work out great."
Yeah, so, and we've asked for guidance on project management from them. So we'll see what they can do to help us.
Yeah, that wasn't, it's not yet totally clear to us as to how we interface with each other, so I think that'll be interesting, and that
Well,
may
it's-
be where that would come in.
It's pretty much guidance and advice,
Mm-hmm,
and,
Yeah.
and,
Which
and
is-
of course, they do write grants.
Yeah.
And, or they'll help you write a grant.
yeah.
Helping to write
I
a
don't
grant is
recall-
critical.
I don't recall a date of any kind that we picked up for our
No.
next getting together, so, you know,
No,
we have to
there's
kind
no-
of wait and see.
She
There's
was
no-
gonna get back to us when
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
ready,
So, are there any questions? We don't have much to say about it, because she really needs to meet with us.
Yeah,
I think it's great that we're pursuing it, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
they're a wonderful organization,
mm-hmm,
and the town is,
Free help is great, you know,
Yeah. The town only
we're on a
pays-
budget.
the town only pays our interaction with them, it's about only $1,000.
Mm.
That was part of town meeting that was
Mhm.
mentioned in the,
Well, that's the basic, the basic connection.
Yeah,
It still astounds me that it's such a small amount of money, but there are many projects they help us with, that we may give them money to help with, you know,
oh,
for the projects too.
Mhm.
That's just a basic support number, which is less than $2,000. Used to be 350 or something, I mean, it was ridiculous.
okay, so we can't do much until we hear from them.
Mhm.
And that's our project management piece that hangs over us.
Is a man, so the project management is one of the things, and the other thing is, like funding for the heating thing? Is that one of the things?
No, that's the green, we're a green
Green
Oh,
community.
that's
So
a,
that's through National Grid.
okay, that's an
Because
energy
of our
grant, yeah, okay,
affiliation with,
Yeah.
whatever
Okay.
that's called, green,
okay,
Green communities. or
green
something.
Yeah, I
communities,
think
yeah.
so.
yeah.
It's nice, it makes you feel good that things are out there that
Well, our
are
town,
right up our alley.
there's leadership in the town that has positioned us to,
Mm-hmm.
for help.
Mm-hmm.
We're tracking, for the Bullard House anyway, we're tracking a repair for salt timbers. We're tracking, our heating and cooling. We're tracking some help with the foundation and perhaps, some more information on the walk-in to support the foundation issues.
And it's also the parking lot and the entry into the building.
Yeah, and then, we haven't talked much about that, but our overall drainage issues, yeah, Barry's
Yeah.
needs to go get his car. So the cleanup, is anybody interested in doing something with the backyard? It's a little scraggly,
I'd be interested in that.
I
Well,
can.
I was going to go vacuum, and I could certainly bring a rake with me. Are we allowed to use a rake?
Yes,
Just
unless
not to
it's,
use
unless
power
it's
tools?
power, unless it's a power tool.
Yeah, no power tools, but I could use a rake.
Yeah.
Clippers are allowed.
That means you can't use a lawnmower?
But you could do hand clippers.
It's all right, the town mows it, it's all right.
It's such a small yard, you almost could just.
Well, a lot of it was torn up to put in the tank, so it's not exactly.
We have mustard, wild mustard in the backyard.
good.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, it's not exactly.
We could clean it up a little, I mean, you wouldn't wanna do a lot, cause it'll be disturbed over the
And,
time.
and that can be done with the group of people there doing the
I think when they get through
Filming?
filming, there's not a problem being in the backyard. The filming is just a huge effort today and this evening, actually, too. I think they have some
They
little,
have some big trucks.
they have some
parked around.
pyrotechnics,
all
good.
around the town.
Let's say all down Woodard Ave.
but next week,
And
things should,
Carter Street too,
yeah, they should calm down.
yeah.
The money that gets spent on
But
entertainment.
other than when they're
is
doing
just-
that, we normally can go in and do
That's
things normally.
Yeah, we have to go to the curatorial building.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they have to be respectful of some things that we do. I don't think the town is getting that much money for this.
I'm hopeful they're getting some significant money. I
You
thought
did-
that was why they were doing it, was to get some significant money, because they're shutting out all the other use of the building.
Yeah.
Well, what I heard was not that significant, but maybe my information is not good, I don't know.
Hey, Jill said that they were paying Faith for the use of her driveway.
Yes, yeah,
They are?
Yeah, Faith was all concerned, and Jill's like, "It'll be fine. It'll be fine."
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, big thing is Kendall know about it, because maybe he can get a job.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of
Um,
him today, cause he did acting, one summer when I was working with Faith, he was
acting
going
in
into
Boston.
Cambridge, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they look for jobs.
Okay, well, I will ask some of our other volunteers
Mhm.
that have done work in the backyard and see maybe next week or the week after, before the month of May is over. I don't wanna do it in the heat. Actually,
it'd
it
be
gets
nice
hot
if-
anyway, but,
It'd be nice to get it cleaned up before Memorial Day.
yeah, yes,
I'll
that's
see what I
right,
can do.
that's right.
Next subject.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
keep moving.
does
keep moving.
anybody wanna say anything about the West School?
I want to say that I want to talk to some people that we know have had some other interests in it and see if we can't start to get a group together to find an alternate thing for the West School than Habitat for Humanity. I don't know what the shakeout is going to be from town meeting. You still got 2 members of the select board on the housing thing,
Trust.
so I'm not sure that one's gonna go away, but we'll see. But we need to, if local people would like to do something different, which we heard people say at town meeting, then we need to get some of the people who said things like that to get together and say, okay, what should we do?
Yeah, if they're really actually willing to put.
What do we do? And, I mean, one of the people talked about senior center. My view is it's kind of stupid for Berlin to have a senior center per se when you've got 19 Carter. And that the better thing would be to find a way for the town to put a little money into that so that it could be open to seniors without contributions and stuff to go in and to go in and be there, because really you got a senior center in operation there already. And not for the programs, but for just the drop-in center kind of thing. And I can't see trying to create another one,
I think that would be silly.
yeah.
And
But,
it's not like we're floating in money, and
no,
we have
Well,
to,
those are not floating in bodies, so if you
Yeah,
take half of the
that's
people away
right.
from 19 Carter, what is that
Yeah.
gonna do?
yeah, I'm not interested in messing with that. And I
They've had a
think,
going concern, and I'd like to see it continue.
and they're being much more outward about, you should put a contribution in these days than they used to be. But, and there should be a way for seniors to go there that the town could kick in a contribution instead or something. Maybe we could give seniors a chit that they could put in the bucket that would, could then be,
Yeah, but there's no pressure really to make a contribution.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, a lot
No.
of people do. You know, but one thing, there is really no place to, well, we used to use, the meeting house for dinners and, you know, for lunches and stuff like that. There's no place now to do that.
right this moment, no.
You know, that's one of the things, and I'm not sure what they meet, like the senior citizens used to meet again
Oh, yeah,
there. And where are they meeting now? I don't know.
they're not,
Yeah, see, that's
Much.
the thing.
not much.
They
And
do have a dinner on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is that
The food is brought in.
the senior citizens?
It is.
Yeah,
It's
The
doing
Council
that.
on Aging, Council on
Yeah.
Aging is
Yeah.
doing it.
It's a hybrid sort of
Yeah,
arrangement.
yeah, that's at 19 Carter on Sunday. But I do think that we need to look for uses and we need to look for people that are interested and try to see something happen. And I don't know, not really from the commission standpoint, but from
No,
I'm thinking more from
From
the
a
historical
community, yeah.
society's
Mhm.
standpoint with others in the community
Yeah.
that might come together and come up with something for the building, so that there's an could be an alternate proposal.
And there's time to do that?
Hmm?
There is time to do that proposal, an alternate proposal?
well, it didn't pass, so
Well, it
There's
didn't
more
pass
time
at
than
town
there
meeting,
was.
so
Good.
it's gotta go to another town meeting to bring it up again, so my view is you got probably 6 months.
Yeah.
And maybe more before you know, but having had that meeting and having had the town vote, having that vote fail, I think that there's a good reason to try to pull some people together and see what could be done.
Well, it's clear that at least the voters at the meeting didn't like that proposal, so
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what are we
It-
gonna do with the building then? If you
It got
leave
a
the
simple
way it is, it's
majority,
gonna
it got a
fall
simple
apart.
majority, but it didn't get the 2/3 it needed.
Yeah,
Transferring property, town property from one department to another requires a 2/3 vote. And a vote to sell it requires a 2/3 vote, so. There
Okay.
certainly was people that were interested in something
There
else
needs to be
happening.
some leadership, though.
But that's the big thing, is to get some people together and see if we can develop some leadership for it, I agree. And I know very well that our hands are too full in this commission. It needs to come from other people.
Okay. The last piece of business is a little bit, is to look forward to some reorganization for the commission. And I would like to say for my own, the chairmanship, I can keep on as chair for another year, but then after that, I'll be 80 years old, and I think I'm
time
not.
to pass the baton.
Yeah, and I think that it's always good to renew chair positions. So what that means is for me to make sure that you understand all the things that I have been doing, so that someone else can take it over. Janet, do you want to speak?
Yeah, and I am interested in actually, what did you call it if you're not on the commission, but
Oh,
you're-
associate.
Associate. I really do need to back down on some of the things that I'm trying to do. And so I would like to think of myself as, in another couple of months, when we change over the people, to participate in a lot of things that would be supportive of,
The work.
everybody
Yeah.
who's staying on. But I definitely need to back down. I think with the farm and all, I'm just,
When does your appointment expire?
The end of June.
the end of June.
End of June this year.
Oh.
And so I felt like I needed to say something and not just, not show up someday.
And your particular interest in being an associate member is, want to talk about that?
Well, about the collection, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I'm always torn between working on what's going on in our family's stuff, and then also thinking how, I gotta work with the things that the commission needs too. And sometimes they're the same thing, basically.
Well, it's the same space.
It's the same space, it's all, and I said to myself, I think, and also I was telling June that I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I'm really not. And so,
Well, none of us are.
yeah, and so I sometimes stumble over things that I didn't used to stumble over, and so for me to take on something that, you really want someone who knows what's going on. And I thought, you put all of those things together, and it said to me, I think I'm doing the commission a favor if I don't try to do quite that much. But I do think that the
Associate.
associate, see, this is one of my problems.
Yeah, I explained to Janet that basically an associate would not have a vote.
Right. But also, I wouldn't quite feel as compelled to be
Yeah, on track.
on track and
To
all.
always attend or to always have to do.
Yeah. And yet, I'd probably end up doing some of the same tasks,
Yeah.
if the commission wanted me to do some of those tasks, and particularly things that relate to the buildings out back where most of the stuff in them is not ours, it's somebody
Well,
else's.
and also your contribution always on the longer haul has been toward interpretation.
Well, thank you for saying that, because I would, That is actually right.
Yeah.
And that's not something I've had a chance to do as much,
That's
except
right.
I think through your programs,
Yeah.
we get to talk about things.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, like all of this stuff that you guys are talking about with,
Yeah, it's not much fun, is it?
well, and I don't understand, I never have, I'm not strong in that area in terms of, you know, what do we do now to make some more money, and where's this money going?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it just isn't me, and so I thought, you know, maybe this other role would be better,
Mhm.
and I would probably feel more like I was participating in a helpful way than me sitting there going, egads, what do you mean by that? What is that? I don't understand, I'm just gonna have to back out on this part.
But one place that we've fallen down, and I'm as guilty as anybody and maybe the most guilty, is interpretation, and the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we could be doing some programs
Yes.
that we would do in the Bullet House
Yeah,
somewhere
what I
else.
miss, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
we could be doing them in this room when
Yeah.
nobody else is in here. We could be doing them in the town hall,
Yeah.
whatever. And you need to have the program developed and working in order to open the Bullet House. Having all of that start at the same time
Mm-hmm.
isn't gonna work. You've gotta have some of the programming and those kinds of things working so that you've got something useful to move in there
Mm-hmm.
to actually do and
Well,
keep
it's
going.
also identifying components of the collection that we wanna kind of.
Well, I
focus on
suggested to
Yeah.
at
Janet
specific
that she
times.
consider starting
Yeah.
an inventory of what's there.
Well,
Yeah.
that certainly would happen, because it would mean that at least our cellar, our not, it's not, I always call it a cellar, and it's not a cellar, it's just
Yeah.
the, you know,
Yeah.
bottom part of our place there. But, yeah, I think that part too needs a
I'm
little
sorry,
tender loving care.
Inventory of what?
Well, Village Power is really a jumble.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so- and Janet
Okay.
isn't.
That's
isn't-
what I thought you meant,
Yeah,
okay.
Janet is interested. I mean, wouldn't obligate her to doing a big.
Yeah.
Or
Doing
do
the
it by
whole thing, no,
yourself.
no,
But
no.
I'm in there a lot anyway for
Yeah.
the sake of the family,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
we use that space too. And I think it makes sense for me maybe to
and to alert us
spend more
as,
time there.
maybe
and
alert us to,
Concerns.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's, maybe you'll ask one of us to come and help you organize just the furniture
Yeah,
a little better.
yeah,
And if your family does offload a few things, there'll be more room for us, right? Or not more room for us,
unless
but
we
more-
offload them to you, because they're things that would be nice for the commission.
Room for some working space.
That's right, yeah.
Not that we're gonna take more storage space, but that we can move these things over here, straighten them out, put them back here more efficiently.
Well, yeah, and make some
Kind of stuff.
decisions. For example, if you look at all the mannequins that are there,
Yeah.
and we're not even sure, we haven't talked to this woman that's gonna help us with costuming, or, that's probably not the right word, but, yeah, just to be able to work together on that and say,
Yeah.
what do you guys still wanna save and what don't you? And if we free up more space for our family stuff,
Yeah.
you know, then that's helpful too, but I don't think we're terribly worried about that. We're still pretty
Pretty good.
interested in having
Mhm.
this group work out, you know.
The other reorganization issues would be if Lucy wanted to continue as clerk or whether she's sick of it. It's the worst position.
Thank
I
you.
understand
It is
it.
definitely the worst
And you
position.
don't
Remember
have
when
to-
you and I first talked about
I
it?
know.
You don't have to continue. We can figure out something else.
It's, right now my hand hurts.
No.
Not from this, it's just from other things that, I was knitting.
I'll have the stuff from the beginning of this meeting for you.
Perfect.
And
And we'll put it together.
there isn't very much, but
Yeah.
So
a
think
few
about
things that
that
we did.
anyway.
Yeah.
And don't,
Don't fret.
well, don't feel you have to continue as official clerk. We can rotate it.
You know,
I've done minutes, and to tell you the truth, it's not a big deal for me to do minutes. I don't want to officially take it on because I shouldn't.
mhm.
no.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that, but
Yeah. We
it's,
could share.
but, you know, it's out there anyway.
If someone else wants to hold the title, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
some of the commissions bring somebody in
Yeah.
To do that.
do the,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's one other small thing, unless someone else,
No,
no. And, well, it's not a small thing, it's a big thing. But I want you to think about, another entity owning the Bullard House and
You and I, yeah.
and being able to work without the constraints of the town.
we've actually talked about that several times, and that would
Yeah.
be
We don't,
a
it's.
good idea.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Can I tell you the things that I have heard? I talked to Ed Munter over a month ago, and he just had this idea, and I thought this was, you know, at first I thought, oh, this may not be a good idea, but as I thought about it more, I thought, well, maybe this would work. So he suggested renting it out to someone that would build a small store in there, you know, like antiques, just, you know, like maybe just in the front part, you know, in the gallery area, and then just have the, you know, everything set up with the antiques from the collection, you know, something like that, and that would take it right out of the town. We would not have to worry about, you know, prevailing wage or doing any other things if we rented it out, or the historical society could take it over.
I'm not in favor of the Historical Society taking it over. I think the Historical Society should be an outreach and a curatorial arm of the commission. Not an arm of the commission, but
So, do you want me to?
but the store, it's a museum.
It's a museum, but when you go into certain
If-
places, they do sell things in there.
Yeah, I think if there was an entity that owned, a 501c3 that owned the
Mhm.
Bullard House, and maybe in other buildings too, I'm not sure about how this would work, or what, or the extent of it, but perhaps once it's a museum, then you could certainly, I mean, I would think you would want your historical society to be in charge of items that were sold. But that could be leased, it could be leased.
Right. It could be leased. It does not. It could be a group. Part of it could be the historical society selling things.
What usually happens with something like that is that it's like a business or a wealthy person or something buys it,
Or rents
does the
it.
work to change it the way you want it changed, and then sells it back for the same amount they bought it for. And that gets you through the enormous thing with all of the constraints of
We have to deal with.
the state procurement
Yeah.
stuff.
The town just, our
Over the long haul, it wouldn't be a big problem once it's there and open and done. But it's getting over the hump to get it done when you've gotta do it at higher prices and all that stuff.
The other thing too that we could think about is getting Assabet to work in there.
Oh, yeah.
And if we could do that, that would be really inexpensive.
We had
Well,
Assabet do a lot of work for us
Yeah.
before, and we would again, but we've been in a mode of late with septic systems and
Things that they
foundation
can't-
and that
yeah.
kind of stuff, and that is not in their bailiwick.
Well, they wouldn't be able to start until next year anyways. You know, so if that's something, like if we could get, if we could get the foundation done this year, you know, or,
Yeah, I doubt that will happen, but.
well, we could work on it, we could
but-
start it.
Yeah, we could start.
There is a point at which Assabet could take over and do a lot of the work.
And that would be like.
As they did with the curatorial building and as they did with the previous curatorial building.
Yep.
Both of those.
And that wouldn't be until September of 2026, and that gives us a fair amount of time to get things
That
done.
might work, yeah. I mean, they're always looking for projects, and at some point, we might be able to produce a major one. I mean, they did all of that rough rewiring through the whole building.
Yeah.
They did the electrical entrance in that building, and then they did all the work in the two buildings up back
Yeah.
for us.
I mean, if they could get the painting,
Time.
Yeah, we need to,
It's-
if you're ready, we can,
Yeah,
Move to
I just
adjourn?
want you to, I just want you to think about
yeah,
that possibility. You know, some of us are
Yep.
older and
Mhm.
we need to,
And
Need to
the
move
other
on.
thing I was gonna bring up though, is that if I get off of the commission itself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that leaves 4 people.
yeah.
And
oh,
I
oh,
don't-
and we need to fill the slots,
Yeah,
sure.
so that's just one more thing to
That's
think
the,
about.
yeah, we need to,
And
What-
I will not be disappearing, but you'll be
No,
telling me
yeah.
what I can do to
yeah.
help you
well,
guys, you
Well,
know.
it is also very true that we want to be thoughtful about helping to recruit somebody else.
I think we
Yeah.
have to
The
work.
select board is usually receptive if there are suggestions and so forth. of
Yeah, they
people to
really go
appoint.
on our recommendations,
Yeah, but,
or they'll give us,
Yeah.
they'll give us an application and they'll ask
Yeah.
us to review it.
And then
Yeah.
we need to think, or you guys need to think about what type of skills do you want to bring into
Oh, yeah.
this?
Yeah,
And,
we need some more hard-headed.
I think
Yeah.
if we brought someone in that has some experience with, you know, with,
the building project.
with
Yeah.
the nuts and bolts.
and
Nuts
that
and
is my
bolts, I think
exact
that-
opposite, and that's one of the other things I was thinking, that I am not, I'm in here, I don't know anything about what I'm supposed to be making decisions on. So I'm
Well, I-
feeling as though,
I've had to
yeah, get
learn.
someone in there who
Lucy, this is
could replace me.
Well,
addressed to
I
you.
move to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimously
to me,
approved
well, let me
at
open it because it doesn't make any sense.
quarter of